Good evening, everybody. This is the April 11th, 2018 meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Smithtown. We are going to begin it with the Pledge of Allegiance, and you're all invited to join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's go.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. The Planning Department would like to recommend the following items be recessed because the applicants are not ready to be heard at this time. Under zoning petitions, number 1, 2012-04 Storybook Homes, Nesconset. Number 2, 2012-02 Carlson Associates, Kings Park. Number 3, 2010-06 KBC Holdings. Under waiver request 4, 773 Scholar Estates, Comac. 5, 911A Glenholm Northern, St. James. Under 280A application, Lizetta Street, and under final subdivision, number 1136, map of Open Meadow.
Is there anybody present who wishes to be heard on any of those 7 matters which have just been read and are recommended to be adjourned tonight? Seeing none, motion?
Motion to recess matters 1 through 7 as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And a motion on the rescheduling? We're not putting them to any particular date?
No.
Okay.
The first item is the performance bond extension for Garden Gate at St. James. Is the applicant here or someone representing them? I guess not.
All right, so this is the first item on the agenda after the ones that were being adjourned. The applicant is not present. I believe that it is appropriate for the applicant to be present if we're going to act on that matter.
Mhm.
So with no applicant being present, I believe we should just reschedule it, recess it, and reschedule it.
Yep. April
25th? 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, 25th.
We have a motion on that?
In the matter of 1039 map of Garden Gate at St. James, I move that we recess the public hearing to the April 25th meeting, 2018 meeting of the Planning Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Matter is recessed to April 25th.
The next item is a performance bond extension for Gately Platt at St. James. Is the applicant here for Gately Platt?
Oh, we're over 2.
That's the performance bond extension for Gately Platt? No?
There's another Gately plan on afterwards, so we'll just do one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, again, the applicant is not present. I believe it would be inappropriate to act on the matter without the applicant present. Therefore, April 25th, I think, would be a good date for this one. And we have a motion, please.
And the matter of number 845 map of Gately Platt, I move that we recess the public hearing to the April 25th, 2018 meeting of the Planning Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Matter is recessed to April 25th.
Next item is item 10, performance bond extension for Dorothy Platt. The applicant requests 3 two-year extensions of the performance period for the subdivision known as number 1113 map of Dorothy Platt. The final map of number 1113 map of Dorothy Platt was granted conditional final approval by the Planning Board on November 4th, 2009. The Town Board accepted a passbook in lieu of a performance bond on November 2nd, 2010. The performance period for the passbook in lieu of the bond expired on November 4th, 2012. The applicant is requesting to retroactively extend the performance period 3 times so that it would expire on November 4th, 2018. They state that the project was put on hold and are now ready to complete the project. The Engineering and Highway Departments have reviewed the request and have no objection. The Traffic Safety Department has no comment. The Planning Department has reviewed the request and has no objection to extending the performance period. The Planning Department offers the following resolution for the Board's consideration. Planning Board Resolution Number blank 2018, extension of performance period of passbook in lieu of performance bond for number 1113 map of Dorothy Platt. Whereas the Planning Board has considered the request of Joseph A. Giordinella to retroactively extend the performance period of the passbook in lieu of performance bond for number 1113 map of Dorothy Platt for a period of 6 years. Now therefore be it first resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves the request of Joseph A. Giordinella to retroactively extend the performance period of the passbook in lieu of performance bond for number 1113 map of Dorothy Platt for a period of 6 years to expire on November 4th, 2018.
Hey, sir, before we do anything, can you just give your name and address for the record?
My name is Carmine Grasso of Cataldo Grasso Architects, office at 14 Carl Avenue in Smithtown.
And your relationship to the applicant?
I am
Your
the
company is
architect.
for
I'm the architect
project?
for the applicant, and the applicant is here as well.
Okay. And the document you just handed up, was that the affidavit of posting?
That was the affidavit of posting,
Everything
yes.
appeared to be in order? Anybody in the audience wish to be heard on this matter? Any questions from any member of the board on this matter? Sir, have you heard the recommendation and the proposed resolution that the planning department is suggesting that we pass?
Yes, we have.
Any
and
problems with it?
Not at all. We're happy with it. Yep.
Okay. That being said, we have a motion, please.
In the
Close the
ma-
public hearing.
In the matter of number 1113, map of Dorothy Platt, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Hearing is closed.
In the matter of number 1113, map of Dorothy Platt, I move that we adopt the resolution as read in
Second.
accordance with the recommendation of the planning department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? The resolution is adopted. Thank you, sir. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
very much.
Thank you.
The next item is a waiver request for Gately Platt subdivision.
Not here.
Applicant, Gately Platt, not here. Same resolution regarding the prior Gately Platt matter. I don't think it would be appropriate to go forward without the applicant here. So since we did the other one to April 25th, let's do this one to April 25th
Yes.
as well. Motion, please.
In the matter of number 845, map of Gately Platt, I move that we recess the public hearing to the April 25th, 2018 meeting of the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Matter is recessed to April 25th.
The next item under waiver requests is item 12 for Tuhami Platt St. James. The applicant requests to waive 537 feet of sidewalk and reduce the number of street trees from 15 to 6. The map of number 1135, map of Tuhami Platt, was granted conditional final approval by the planning board on January 19, 2011. This application was approved for a 2-lot subdivision on a 2-acre parcel fronting Branglebrink Road, a private road located in the villages of Nissaquag and Head of the Harbor and the town of Smithtown. The applicant was bonded for 537 feet of sidewalk and 15 street trees. On May 6, 2014, the previous owner submitted a waiver application to waive the requirement of 537 feet of sidewalk and reduce the number of street trees from 15 to 6. This waiver request was first heard at the June 18, 2014 Planning Board meeting. However, no decision was made on, and the matter was recessed because both homes were not constructed and the applicant had not yet filed the restrictive covenant that was required as a conditional planning board approval. Since the June 18, 2014 hearing, both homes have been constructed and the restrictive covenant has been filed. The engineering department and traffic safety departments have no objection to the request, and the highway department has no comment. The planning department has reviewed the request and has no objection to waiving 537 feet of sidewalks. Because 1 Branglebrink Road is a residential access street and has been identified by the planning department as a street that does not need sidewalks due to the low traffic volume. 2, there are no sidewalks under Branglebrink Road or any of the surrounding residential streets in the neighborhood. Regarding the street trees, the number of street trees on the performance bond estimate is only an estimate and calculated by measuring the total street frontage within the subdivision and dividing it by 35 feet, which is the distance between the street trees. The actual number to be planted is determined by marking out locations after construction is complete, with the understanding that the existing healthy trees may be substituted for street trees. Based on the procedure described above, the planning department recommends dismissing without prejudice the request to waive street trees because it is premature and will likely not be necessary. We recommend that the applicant contact the planning and engineering departments for street tree markouts to determine the actual amount of street trees needed. The planning department offers the following resolution for the board's consideration. Planning board resolution number blank 2018, street tree and sidewalk waiver for number 1135, map of Tuhami Platt. Whereas the planning board has considered the request of Nick Rackets to waive 537 feet of sidewalk and reduce the number of street trees required from 15 to 6 within the subdivision known as number 1135, map of Tuhami Platt. Now therefore be it first resolved that the planning board hereby approves the waiver request of 537 feet of sidewalk within the subdivision number 1135, map of Tuhami Platt for the following reasons. 1, Branglebrink Road is a residential access street and has been identified by the planning department as a street that does not need sidewalks due to the low traffic volume. 2, there are no sidewalks on Brangle Brink Road or any of the surrounding residential streets in the neighborhood. Second, resolve that the planning board hereby dismisses without prejudice the request to reduce the number of street trees to be planted from 15 to 6 for the following reasons. 1, the performance bond estimate is only an estimate, and the actual number of street trees to be planted is determined by marking out the locations during an on-site inspection. 2, the request is premature and that the planning department and engineering departments have not yet inspected the existing trees that may be substituted for new street trees.
Sir, please give your name and address and relationship to the applicant for the record, please.
Alex Gilio of Built Consulting, 34 Frank Avenue, Farmingdale, New York. I'm the project manager of the site.
And can you just spell your name, please?
Alex, A-L-E-X, Gilio, G-I-G-L-I-O.
And the document that we just handed up, is that the affidavit of posting, or he's got it now? Everything in order? Okay, good. Anybody in the audience wish to be heard on this? Sir, have you heard, just heard the analysis, the recommendations, and the proposed resolutions set forth by the planning department?
Yes.
Do you have any questions? Are you in agreement with that?
Yes. No, I'm agreeing.
Okay. Then we need a motion to close the public hearing, please.
In the matter of number 1135, map of...
Hang on, before we do that, I'm sorry. Any questions from any member of the board?
Very good.
Okay, now I'll motion the public, close the public hearing.
In the matter of number 1135, map of Tuhami Plat, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Public hearing is closed. Then a motion on the resolutions set forth in the recommendation as just read.
One resolution.
You can do it either
One
way.
motion, okay. In the matter of number 1135, map of Tuhami Plat, I move that we adopt the resolutions as read in accordance with the recommendation of the planning department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Resolutions are adopted. Matter is concluded. Yes? What was read, we just passed. Okay? Thank you.
The next item is a preliminary subdivision. It's item number 13 for Core Land Division in Kings Park. The applicant requests preliminary approval to subdivide a 1.96 acre lot into 3 single-family lots. The preliminary subdivision, known as number 1169 map of Core Land Division, is comprised of 1 tax lot. The property is T-shaped and it has approximately 100 feet of frontage on Core Road. The parcel is 1.96 acres, 1.4 acres excluding steep slopes, and is located in the R15 zoning district. To the north and south is zoned R15, east is zoned R10, and west of the site is zoned R43 and is used for parkland, Sunken Meadow State Park. There is an existing single-family dwelling on Lot 2 that will remain. The applicant proposes to have a 20-foot wide common driveway easement that will provide access to all 3 homes from Core Road. Within the easement, the driveway pavement will be 18 feet wide for the first 100 feet off Core Road and then narrow to 12 feet wide as you approach the homes. The topography of the site is mostly level in the areas of the common driveway and on Lot 2. There are steep slopes, 18% to 30% grade, on the northern part of the T that drops approximately 30 feet. There are also steep slopes on the southern portion of Lot 1. The steep slopes occupy about 1/4 of the site. The site does not contain any high groundwater or natural surface water features. All 3 lots conform to the minimum lot area requirement for the R15 zoning district. They do not meet the frontage requirement of 100 feet. However, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved variances to reduce the minimum road frontage and minimum lot frontage for the 3 proposed lots. The Board of Zoning Appeals also approved variances to alter environmentally sensitive land, to build within 10 feet of slopes steeper than 25%, and to increase the front yard pavements on lots 1 and 2 to allow for the construction of the proposed common driveway. The variances were approved with the following condition. The northern portions of all 3 lots are to be planted with dense evergreen buffers, as determined by the planning director. Said plantings are to extend to the eastern edge of the dwellings. The proposed preliminary layout complies with the BZA's approval. A copy of the approval is attached to this memo. Section 248-31B2 of the subdivision regulations mandate that subdivisions be clustered if certain conditions are present. 2 conditions are present in this subdivision: steep slopes and land adjacent to state lands. The state land in this case is the Sunken Meadow State Park. The regulations do not specify how much of the subdivision should be clustered. However, when considering the entire section of the regulations, it seems fair to conclude that the board should require as much clustering as is necessary to protect the steep slopes and parkland. The planning department considered several cluster designs, and the one that seemed to best balance protecting the steep slopes and parkland and preserving the character of the neighborhood is creating conservation easements along the steep slopes, adjacent to the common driveway, and adjacent to the state park. The applicant's proposed layout matches the planning department's recommendation. It includes a 60-foot conservation easement along the north property line, a 25-foot conservation easement adjacent to Sunken Meadows State Park, a 25-foot conservation easement on the east property line adjacent to Suffolk County Tax Map number 813.2, and a conservation easement adjacent to the common driveway. This cluster design preserves the steep slopes found to the north, provides a modest buffer along the state parkland, and preserves the dense, mature trees to the front of the property. This proposed design requires the following variances. For Lot 1, reduce the minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 10 feet, and reduce total side yard setback from 34 feet to 28 feet. For Lot 2, reduce minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 10 feet, reduce total side yard setback from 34 feet to 18 feet, and reduce minimum rear yard setback from 60 feet to 57 feet. Lot 3, reduce minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 10 feet. The side yard and total side yard setback variances are being requested because the subdivision is clustered. Therefore, the planning department has no objection to the request. The board has the authority to grant these variances pursuant to section 322-30.4 of the zoning ordinance during final plat approval. The planning department recommends approval of these variances as they are needed to achieve the recommended cluster design. The engineering department has reviewed the preliminary plans and has found them acceptable. They recommend the following condition as a condition of approval. 1, proposed retaining wall on Lot 3 must be designed by a licensed professional engineer and will require a separate building permit. The Highway and Traffic Safety Department have found the plans acceptable. The Department of Environment and Waterways has found the tree preservation and land clearing plans acceptable and recommends issuing a secret negative declaration. Pursuant to Section 239N of New York State General Municipal Law, this preliminary application was referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission because the subdivision was located within 500 feet of an existing state parkway. Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning responded to that the application is a matter of local determination and offered the following comment. A right-of-way of 50 feet should be created where common access is proposed over the adjacent panhandles of 3 or more lots. The right-of-way should be dedicated or reserved for future highway use. The planning department recommends that the board not incorporate this comment into the design because the town has no intention of accepting dedication of such a right-of-way. The following resolution is recommended for number 1169 map of core land division from the Department of Environment and Waterways pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Planning Board Resolution Number blank 2018 recommended secret declaration for number 1169 map of core land division. Whereas the Planning Board has considered the secret recommendation from the Department of Environment and Waterways and indicated that any potential adverse environmental impacts associated with said project does not rise to the level of significance which would require a preparation of an environmental impact statement. Now therefore be it first resolved that the Planning Board hereby issues a secret negative declaration determination of non-significance and EIS is not necessary. In the matter of the application for subdivision approval by Thomas P. and Patty A. Birch for number 1169 map of core land division for the following reasons. A, the proposal does not appear to significantly threaten any unique or highly valuable environmental or cultural resources as identified and or regulated by the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York or Town Code, Smithtown Town Code. B, the parcel does not appear to suffer from any severe environmental development constraints, no poor soil properties, no high groundwater, and no unmanageable slopes. C, while the parcel contains slopes in excess of 15%, the cluster layout serves to minimize development on these slopes. D, the small size and nature of the proposal mitigate against a significant adverse impact upon the environment. E, the proposal appears to be consistent with the planned use of the parcel and compatible with neighboring land uses. F, the project as proposed on the tree preservation and land clearing plan prepared by Gary J. Benz, licensed land surveyor, and dated June 16, 2017, provides for the retention of a significant amount of existing trees and natural vegetation upon development of the subject parcel. Such preservation shall be ensured by the placement of snow fencing or orange mesh construction fencing along all limits of clearing and around any individual trees to be preserved within clearing areas. This shall be done to the satisfaction of the Environmental Protection Director, and said fencing shall be maintained in place by the applicant until the completion of all land clearing and grading activities at the subject parcel. The Planning Department offers the following resolution for the Board's consideration. Planning Board Resolution number blank 2018, subdivision preliminary approval for number 1169 map of core land division. Whereas the Planning Board has considered the request for preliminary approval by Thomas P. and Patty A. Birch to subdivide 1.96 acres into 3 lots. Now therefore be it first resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves the preliminary subdivision number 1169 map of core land division subject to the following conditions. 1, the proposed retaining wall on Lot 3 must be designed by a licensed professional engineer and will require a separate building permit. 2, the final map to be submitted shall incorporate the condition placed on BZA case number 17442 by adding a note to the map pursuant to BZA case number 17442 that the northern portions of all 3 lots are to be planted with dense evergreen buffers as determined by the planning director. Said plantings are to extend to the eastern edge of the dwellings. Second, resolve that this preliminary approval shall be valid for a 6-month period to expire on October 11th, 2018.
Good evening. Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York. I request that you grant this application. We have the approval of everybody in the Western Hemisphere.
These are maps, okay. Is there anything you want to add to the analysis and recommendation?
Well,
made
Lot
by the
1
Planning
is,
Department?
Lot 1, after you kick out the slopes, is still 22,560 square feet. Lot 2 is 22,304 square feet. And Lot 3, after you kick out the slopes, is 16,585 square feet in the 15,000 square foot requirement.
Anybody in the audience who wish to be heard on this particular matter? Any member of the board have any questions on this particular matter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I note that this is a revised plan, and while I had visited the site over a year ago, I would like to, with this new proposal in hand, revisit and do an on-site inspection. If the board would grant me that, I would appreciate it. I noticed this has been tabled at the applicant's request 5 or 6 times. So I think one more adjournment or recessing.
I started this when I was in kindergarten, and
Well, we hope, we will approve this before you leave us.
please,
Well, in addition to Mr. Chase, is there anybody else first on the board who might want to do an on-site on this before we vote on it?
I'd like to go see it also.
Okay, so we have at least 3 members of the board who want to do an on-site. I think it's appropriate to allow them that opportunity to do it. In order to do so, I think we only have to recess this matter for 2 weeks. We should all be able to get out there in 2 weeks.
okay.
So that,
Unless it snows again.
if you've been waiting since kindergarten, 2 more weeks,
We'll manage.
give everybody an opportunity to go.
Thank you.
and
I
see
always
it.
like going out. I think it's only fair.
If there are things that people
Sure.
want to see, I think they should have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
So with that being said, we're going to recess this to the April 25th meeting in 2 weeks. And is there a motion for that?
Could you put me on first again so I can get out of here?
You're on first, then?
No,
Oh, you mean then?
next time.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Thank you.
A motion?
In the matter of number 1169, map of core land division, I move that we recess the public hearing to the April 25th, 2018 meeting of the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The matter is recessed to April 25th.
Matt, this is a large print, can I hold on to that?
Yeah, I just need at least one back.
Okay.
I can make copies for any of the board members that need them too.
That's okay, thanks.
This is a larger version of what's in our packet?
Yeah.
Here's
I
A
can't see
larger
that.
version of Foxwoods. I can get more, but
which one is
That, this is Foxwoods.
this? Yeah, okay.
You had Foxwoods. We have 2
they're like a
Foxwoods.
little mixed up.
We'll pass this one down. You want to open up this one?
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is number 14, a preliminary subdivision, Foxwood Estates. Okay. And the applicant has submitted the affidavit of posting.
Okay, everything's in order?
The applicant requests preliminary approval to subdivide
We're gonna-
3.2 acres into 4 lots. This application was last heard at the October 4th, 2017 Planning Board meeting. The public hearing was closed and a motion was made to adopt the secret resolution and as presented to the board in the Planning Department's memorandum dated September 8th, 2017. However, the motion failed to pass and the preliminary map was tabled subject to call. The applicant subsequently filed an Article 78 in the New York State Supreme Court contending that the board's decision to not adopt the recommended SECRA resolution was arbitrary and capricious. On February 7, 2018, the court remitted the matter to the planning board for a rehearing and determination containing findings of fact and the basis for the decision, and dismissed the Article 78 proceeding. Upon receiving notice of this decision, the planning board scheduled a public hearing for the matter from March 7, 2018. The March 7, 2018 and March 21, 2018 meetings were canceled due to inclement weather. The matter will be heard at the April 11, 2018 meeting. The Planning Department and Department of Environment and Waterways recommendations from the Planning Department's September 8, 2017 memo are as follows. The Department of Environment and Waterways offers the following resolution for the board's consideration. Planning Board Resolution number blank 2018, recommended SECRA declaration number 1146, map of Foxwood Estates. Whereas the Planning Board has considered the SECRA recommendation from the Department of Environment and Waterways and indicated that any potential adverse environmental impacts associated with said project does not rise to the level of significance which would require the preparation of an environmental impact statement. Now, therefore, be it first resolved that the Planning Board, after due study and deliberation of the subject record, issue a secret negative declaration determination of non-significance. An EIS is not necessary in the matter of the application for subdivision approval by Joseph Perna for number 1146 map of Foxwood Estates for the following reasons. A, the proposal does not appear to significantly threaten any unique or highly valuable environmental or cultural resources as identified and or regulated by the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York or Smithtown Town Code. B, the parcel does not appear to suffer from any severe environmental development constraints, no poor soil properties, no high groundwater, and no unmanageable slopes. C, the small size and nature of the proposal mitigate against a significant adverse impact upon the environment. D, the proposal appears to be consistent with the planned use of the parcel and compatible with neighboring land uses. E, the project as proposed on the tree preservation and land clearing plan prepared by Michael James Hillebrand, licensed land surveyor and dated October 14, 2016, provides the retention of a significant amount of existing trees and natural vegetation upon development of the subject parcel. Such preservation shall be ensured by the placement of snow fencing or orange mesh construction fencing along all limits of clearing and around any individual trees to be preserved within clearing areas. This shall be done to the satisfaction of the Environmental Protection Director, and said fencing shall be maintained in place by the applicant until the completion of all land clearing and grading activities at the subject parcel. The Planning Department offers the following resolution for the board's consideration. Planning Board Resolution number blank 2018, subdivision preliminary approval, number 1146, map of Foxwood Estates. Whereas the Planning Board has considered the request for preliminary approval of Joseph Perna to subdivide 3.2 acres into 4 lots. Now, therefore, be it first resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves the preliminary map of number 1146, map of Foxwood Estates, subject to the following conditions. 1, the final submission shall include all requirements of Section 248.15 and 248.16 of the subdivision regulations. 2, the applicant shall amend the planting buffer area to begin 35 feet west of the east property line along Landing Avenue and run approximately 160 feet long. 3, the applicant shall remove the existing curb cut for Lot 1 on Landing Avenue. Access to Lot 1 shall be from Foxwood Court. 4, the applicant shall install mountable curbs on Foxwood Court. Second, resolve that this preliminary approval shall be valid for a 6-month period to expire on October 11th, 2018.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavit of posting to Allison. I'd first like to distribute to the board and have the board chairman mark in evidence the court decision and all of the recommendations of the various departments given to the planning board. There was the DEW, planning department, highway department, and I believe traffic. So I'm going to submit them.
You're asking that these documents that you're handing them now be made part of the record on this matter?
I am.
That's, okay, that's fine. Can you just go through it, please, and just read exactly what it is we're admitting into the record, just so we're clear?
Sure.
Each particular document. I guess
You want Allison
she could
or
do
me?
it, either one of you, as long as it's
Okay.
on the record, just so we know what's being admitted.
Yes, I'd be happy to do it. Decision
go
of
ahead.
Joseph A. Santarelli, Supreme Court Justice, State of New York. The next document is the recommendation of David Flynn, dated July 20th, 2017, to the Planning Board members. The next document is the DEW recommendation, and I'm sorry, the first document is from Howard Barton, from our DEW, recommending to the board approval of the negative deck.
Can we have dates on these documents, just so we can
I thought I
identify
gave that
them?
one, Mr. Chairman. This is dated July 20th, 2017. The next document is from the Engineering Department, Mark Riley, and that's dated February 10th, 2017. The next one is Robert J. Murphy, Superintendent of Highways, March 15th, 2016. The next document is Michael J. Crowley, Director of Traffic Safety, June 14th, 2017. And memorandum from the Smithtown Planning Board from Allison Murray, Principal Planner, and that's dated September 8th, 2017. All of which documents from the various department heads recommended approval to this board. And I
Hold on one
believe...
second, I think Allison wants to mention something.
Mr. Tramarko submitted enough copies for each of the members of the board. Would you like me to distribute them or put them in the file?
We could have them for now, yes, because that'd be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll pass them down. Go ahead, give it to me, I'll pass them down.
So,
So these documents collectively will be being made part of the record as applicants number one, so they can be identified.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So what are we doing here tonight? Well, a while ago, 3 members of this board voted to table the application subject to call after the board voted, 3 members of the board voted not to accept the secret negative declaration and hold this whole application subject to call. We had no choice. We had to bring in Article 78, and we went before Judge Santarelli. And one of the arguments that the board made was, hey, this is not ripe for decision. Well, the court said it was, and the court is directing the board to do one of the following. The decision states that as far as SEQRA goes, the board has 3 choices. They can vote a conditional negative declaration, they can vote a negative declaration, or they can vote a positive declaration. The board did none of these things. The next thing that the court said in the decision was, whatever you do, you got to make findings. You just can't say something and not back it up. That's basically what the court was saying. So it was ripe for determination. The court said it was troubled by the fact that if the court went along with this situation, then we would not have any judicial redress. And it could go on forever. I believe one of the members of the board said, well, that's like putting this whole application in limbo. And your counsel said, this is somewhat akin to suspended animation. I believe the court quoted him with respect to that. Anyway, here we are now. We're back after a couple of snow cancellations. I'm asking the board to rethink this, or the three board members that voted not to accept the secra, not to do anything with respect to secra, to please rethink the application. Rethink the fact that, again, the planning department is recommending approval, and the DEW, who is basically our town environmental department, said, we recommend that you vote a negative declaration. I don't know what more proof this board needs. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions. It's really was a tough thing. I had to go to my client and say, now you got to go to court. And going to court isn't cheap. So here we are. Let's put it to bed. I asked the board for its vote on the secra, negative deck, and on the preliminary subdivision. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Well, there's an issue that I think has to be addressed, but first we'll see, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay. So, we know, you just went through the procedural history of how we got here. We have a court decision in front of us, which you just quoted and says that we have three options with respect to secret. Negative, conditional negative, or positive. The last time, there was a recommendation from the planning department, as there is now, to have a secret negative declaration. However, the board is still the same as it was when three members of the board, as you just stated, voted against the secret negative declaration. So, to prevent, unless any of these people are going to change their vote, and I have no indication that they're going to prevent, as they say, Groundhog's Day, us going through the same thing again, I believe what should happen is there should be those other two alternatives, proposed resolutions, so that if it's voted on, the people who are voting no for secret negative will have an opportunity to vote yes on what are the other two options that we have to pick. Because otherwise, let's assume that we go forward as it is, and let's assume that nothing has changed, and the same three board members believe that the secret negative should not be passed. We're going to be right back to square one. We're going to be right back in the same position that we were before. Do you agree?
No.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, first of all, if the board, the three board members decide to vote the same way they voted before, this time they have to give us findings and conclusions. That's what the court said. So maybe they have findings, I don't know, I have no idea. But all things being equal, certainly any one of the three members have a right to change their vote after consideration. Or they could, obviously, they could pos deck it. I've never seen a subdivision pos deck like this before.
Well, that's the point. Let's assume that the three board members are going to vote, are not going to vote yes on the secret negative, okay? Then, as the court has said, there are three options. I would think that there has to be some type of vote on one of the other two options, so that there can be some type of finality. Otherwise, we're going to be back in the same position that we were in.
And I'll be back in court again, so.
Well, I'm trying to avoid that.
I don't want that, of course.
I'm trying to avoid that. So I guess what we could do is we could have a vote on the secret negative. If that passes, this whole discussion is academic, and we can go on to the merits of the application. If it fails, I think at that point, it would be appropriate to recess the matter for 2 weeks to have an alternative or two alternative resolutions here, so that the people who voted against the secret negative can vote for something. Because as you correctly stated, the court says we have to do one of three things.
Mr. Chairman, I think as one of the three that you're talking about, I would like to make a procedural motion at this time that we table the CEQA and the companion resolution, and I would like to ask or make a motion that we ask the planning department to make a resolution denying this application based on the following reasons. First, the proposed design depicts a front yard setback on one lot of only 27 feet, even though the zoning ordinance requires a setback of 50 feet. Secondly, further, the 3 new homes are intended to have front yard setbacks of only 40 feet. The opposite side, the opposite side of Landing Avenue is in the R43 zoning district, which requires a front yard setback of 60 feet. 4, based on a site inspection of all the homes in the vicinity, they meet or exceed the required front yard setback. In fact, the 3 closest homes on the opposite side of the street have setbacks of approximately 80, 90, and 120 feet. Now, at the first public hearing, this is number 5, the applicant expressed an unwillingness to comply with the front yard setback. 6, approval of the subdivision with this variance would have an adverse effect on the established character of this neighborhood. 7, the applicant has had a reasonable alternative in that there is enough room to subdivide the land into 4 lots that comply with the setbacks. 8, approval of the subdivision may tend to set an undesirable precedent. 9, on Landing Avenue, this new intersection would lie between White Pine Court to the north and Landing Meadow Road to the south. There is a reduced visibility from the hill to the north as Landing Avenue slopes downward just before a sharp downward turn south of Landing Meadow Road. Accordingly, I'm going to move that the board instruct the planning department to prepare a resolution denying this application for the aforementioned reasons.
All right, now, Mr. Tramarko, I don't think you have to comment yet. I'm not sure if those reasons that were just given really pertain to SECRA or pertain to the merits of the application. However, we have a request for the planning department to draft an alternative based upon the reasons that were stated. And I think that if it's going to be voted on, I think, especially in this case, we've already been in court once, that it would be advisable to have both resolutions written out in writing as part of the record, so we're not doing it on the fly, and that then all 5 of us can have the resolution recommending SECRA positive, SECRA negative, and then the resolution, I believe that Mr. Chase is requesting, recommending a SECRA positive, the reasons for each, and then we can vote. So that when the vote is held, the court can tell, if we end up in court again, we don't say we're going to go there, but we were there once already, anybody looking at it can see why the majority of the board did what they did. So I think it might be appropriate to give Mr. Chase his request so that the alternate resolution can be drafted and that can be voted on, which would be in 2 weeks. I think that is what should be done procedurally to try to avoid a repeat of what happened the last time.
Well, respectfully, Mr. Chairman, the planning department already twice made a recommendation for approval. So for them to write a resolution for Mr. Chase seems like he did a good job on his own.
Thank you.
Why are we...
We have a very good planning department. I don't always agree with them. We have, I think, one of the best departments in the state, and on times our views differ, and this occasion is one of them. I think they're capable of putting my motion into a resolution, and I think we have counsel available as well to assist them if need be.
See, the reason why I'm leaning towards recessing it for 2 weeks is so that we can have a clear record and a clear enunciation of why, assuming that it's not going to be unanimous, those who want to vote for SECRA negative are voting that way, and why those who want to vote SECRA positive are voting that way. It can be done now, but it's kind of being done on the fly, and given the history of this case, I would prefer that it not be done on the fly, that it be done in writing. I don't believe that the planning department just because they are going to write a proposed resolution that Mr. Chase requests, means that they're in favor of it. They have their position. Now, as you said, they've stated it twice. They're in favor of secret negative.
That's
for the
fine.
reasons that they've given. So basically, what they're being asked to do, as I understand it, is take the reasons that Mr. Chase just gave and have those listed as why it should be found to be secret positive.
Is that the resolution with respect to secret, or is it with respect to the
I think he said he
subdivision?
wanted an alternative resolution on secret. Was that correct?
No.
No?
Counsel?
No, I think you need some clarification. I think that what Mr. Chase was talking about was having the planning department prepare an alternative resolution with respect to the merits of the underlying application. If I could just take a step back to
Hang on
clarify.
a second. If we have 3 people that can vote on secret positive, then we can go to the merits. And then we can either pass it on the merits or deny it on the merits. Now, the planning department is recommending that we pass it on the merits. That may not be something that all 5 of us agree with. Obviously, we don't. So that I think that if there are people who are going to vote no on the merits, there should be a resolution for that effect and the reasons why.
Right, but that's why, if I could just clarify, the record's gotten a little bit messy in terms of the explanation. I'd like to just narrow things down a little bit. First of all, with respect to the court decision didn't do anything other than call for a rehearing, did not get to the merits of the case. In fact, it agreed with the planning board's position that there was no final determination because the actual relief that was requested by the plaintiff was to have a mandamus or a direction that you issue the CEQA determination as presented and the merits.
Right,
So-
but they wanted us to.
So they get a
decide-
rehearing.
They wanted us to, on the secret, choose one of the 3 options. That we either, if we're not gonna pass secret negative, then.
No, the actual, just to clarify,
ahead.
unfortunately, the court decision was unnecessary. You're actually 3 months behind where you would have been in December, but putting that aside, the 3 options that you have in front of you right now are as follows. Number 1, you can take the presentation recommendation from the planning department as is, with a CEQA negative declaration as one resolution, and then a resolution on the merits. If a majority of the membership of the board agrees with the CEQA determination and the actual merits, you vote to approve and approve. It's 2 votes, 2 resolutions. Second option is if one member believes that the CEQA determination, just the CEQA determination.
I understand, we can vote yes on that and then address the merits.
No. What the second alternative would be for a member to say, I propose a procedural motion for the planning department to prepare an alternative CEQA resolution with a different determination, either a negative deck with different reasons or a positive deck, and then articulate what those reasons are. If 3 members agree with that or more, then there would be an alternative CEQA resolution to be addressed 2 weeks from now. The third option, which I think is the one that Mr. Chase is headed towards, is he's saying CEQA is secondary in terms of his concerns. He's not raising CEQA issues as the basis for any review of the merits, but he has objections or reasons why he thinks that the application should be denied on the merits. Hence, his motion, as I heard it, and I believe I understood it, was that he wants the planning department to prepare a resolution on the merits, but denying the application for the 9 or 10 reasons that he articulated. If a majority of the membership agrees with that procedural motion, then 2 weeks from now, you'll have that in front of you, and that'll be the contrast. It'll be the choice between CEQA as presented plus the merits versus denying it on the reasons articulated by this new procedural motion. So those are the true 3 options that are in front of you.
Yeah, my intent is CEQA is secondary. I think the plan as presented would not benefit the town. I think it was poorly thought out.
So wait, so
CEQA
let
would
me
be
just make it
secondary.
clear, Mr. Chase, when you say CEQA is actually primary because we have to do CEQA first, but when you say secondary, you mean secondary as far as what your objections are?
Yes.
So are you requesting that we have an alternative resolution on the merits of the case?
And it's
So
fabulous
that
that I made the motion.
So that those who wish to deny it on the merits will have a resolution for that.
Correct.
And those who wish to pass it on the merits will have the resolution for that. And the information that you just gave as the reasons would be the reasons why that you would want listed as supporting the denial.
Right.
And all the planning department has to do is write up an alternative that says denial, and the reasons are what you just stated.
Yes.
I think
I'd like to comment on council. Council, the last
absolutely.
time, made a big deal out of, and I think he was right, that you got to do the secret first. Now, that seems to be a different position.
Well, I'm saying we have to do the secret first.
Yeah.
But here's
that's-
my
and-
problem. Here's my problem, okay? We live in the hypothetical. Let's assume we do the secret, and the vote on the secret is exactly the same as it was the first time. Let's assume that we do the secret, and the 3 board members who voted no on secret negative, vote no on secret negative again tonight. Aren't you right back in the very same position that you were in? Because if they vote no on secret negative, this application, as I understand the law, and council can correct me, cannot be approved. If there's no secret declaration, one way or the other.
That's a critical point, but again, just to clarify, okay, for those who wish to see the application approved on the merits, you need a CEQA determination.
Correct.
As a prerequisite.
Yes.
For those of you who are opposed on the merits, ordinarily, you don't need to have the CEQA determination, but in light of the court asking for
Probably better to do it, probably better to do it.
All you have,
Right.
but it's of no consequence it's of no consequence from a legal standpoint if a majority of the membership articulates reasons on the merits and gets to a vote on the merits. So you could either table, at the next meeting, assuming you've got the second resolution in front of you, you could either table the secret resolution at that point because it's going to be of secondary consequence, or you could approve it, it'll be of like chicken soup, because it's not going to change the
It's
basis.
just going to allow us to address the merits with
Right.
some finality, which is not what happened the last
In
time.
other cases, there may be a case down the road where CEQA is part of the reason why, some environmental concern is part of the reason why you want to vote to deny on the merits, then you've got a different situation. That's why I can't give you a blanket rule and say.
I'm not asking for one.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking in the.
But counsel, do you agree with me where if we vote on this and all 5 people vote the same way, all we have in front of us now is a secret negative resolution.
You're right.
If 3 board members vote no on that and 2 board members vote yes, that secret negative resolution is not adopted, and the board then, without any alternatives on secret, has not addressed secret, and therefore we really can't vote to approve the merits. We might be able to vote to deny the merits, but we have a request to have the reasons for any denial set forth in a resolution.
Right, that's.
So, Mr. Tramarko, so you understand what I'm saying? If everybody votes the same, you're right back in the same position that you were in.
I understand that.
So what I think is the best way to proceed is to have anybody on the board have a proposed resolution drafted. The planning department has their position. We understand they are in favor of secret negative and positive approval of the application. But I think they could do the administrative or the ministerial step of putting on paper what anybody else may want as to secret or as to the merits. So that when we have a vote on it, which hopefully will just be in 2 weeks, we can have a final vote, one way or the other. Because otherwise, if everybody votes the same way, you're going to be right in the same position that you were
I'm not
3 months ago.
disagreeing with you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I disagree with counsel. The court was very clear, and it said you have 1 or 3 alternatives, and
I
the
agree,
board
I read
should
it, I
vote
read it
on
myself.
Okay,
So what I'm
so-
trying to do is comply with the court's directive, and at the same time, make sure that whatever anybody's vote is, whether it's on secret or it's on the merits, that they have an opportunity to have the planning department put it down on paper, so that when we do vote on it, those in favor will have their reasons on paper, and those against will have their reasons on paper, and then the chips will fall where they may. And we won't create the exact same scenario that led you to
I
go to
agree.
court the last time.
You can stop, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Which
have
is why I made the
question.
motion to table the 2 resolutions before us on this matter and to have the planning department prepare the alternative resolution denying the application. Simple.
First, you should recess the hearing.
Just so we can be clear, Mr. Chase, you're only requesting for an alternative resolution on the merits, not on the secret. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Okay. So you have you've given on the record the reasons.
Right.
I think if they
Just
aren't
don't think
gonna
it's
get
a good idea, folks, to put a road in somebody's side yard and build 3 houses in the backyard. That's not Smithtown to me.
If we're going to have some people voting no on the merits, I think it will be appropriate to have the reasons why they're voting no set forth in an alternative resolution, that it's all clear to anybody else looking at this who voted what way. So
Fine,
with
and
that
Mr.
being-
Chairman, there's going to be a vote on the secret also.
Next time,
Yes.
because I don't want to vote on it now, because again, if it's not passed, we're in the same position. Yes, the secret has to be voted on, but I believe Mr. Chase is not requesting an alternative resolution on the secret. He's requesting an alternative resolution on the merits, which we don't have.
Again, council, if we adopt the secret and the resolution I propose, there is no conflict.
Yeah, as long as you're not
Right.
using some reason, environmental in nature under secret
Right.
as the basis, which you're not, I heard before, so that's not a problem.
So I do anticipate that we're going to be voting on the secret. I think we have to if we're going to vote on the merits. So everything is just going to be done in 2 weeks.
So
But
we're going to do the secret over again also.
we're not going to do it over again. We're going to vote on it.
Gonna-
We're not
that's
going to
right.
vote on it
Excuse me.
tonight and do half of it.
Yeah,
We're going to
you're
do it all
right.
at the same
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Okay?
One other housekeeping point, since it is a rehearing, I would just indicate that for the record, all of the previous materials from the hearing should be made part of this record, because it's one big, file for one specific matter.
I think that, you want to have all the minutes and everything from the first hearing made part of the record now?
Only because Mr. Tremarco basically introduced before documents that are from some of the previous hearings, so let's just be.
But do you have any objection
I don't
to
know if he
that? I don't
included
see any
everything.
problem. I think
He
let's
listed
get it
5.
all in.
No.
Let's get it all in.
I assume that's all part of the
I
record
think it is,
anyway,
I think
but
it's unnecessary, but I don't have a problem with it.
that's fine.
Okay. So, with all this being said.
I had made a motion.
There was a motion. Do we have a second on Mr. Chase's motion to recess the matter?
I
to
second the motion.
April 25th, for the reasons that Mr. Chase stated, so that the planning department can draft an alternative resolution on the merits, and then on April 25th, we will vote on the secret first, and then we will have 2 choices before us on the merits. And Mr. Marchese, second. All in favor of recessing it to April 25th for the reasons stated?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The matter is recessed to April 25th for the reasons stated.
Thank you.
But now you need the procedural motion directing the planning department to prepare the resolution for
I
the.
thought that
reasons.
was implicit,
He
but if someone
included it.
wants,
I
I think
thought
he
he
did that already,
I'll
but
I'll
you want
make,
to do it
I'll
again
make
just
the,
to make
I'll
sure?
make the motions for the 9 items that I previously stated on the record, that the planning department be requested to prepare a resolution denying this application for those reasons.
And it's just clear that the planning department position is that they're in favor of it, but they are doing this at the request of Mr. Chase, so that those who are opposed will have their reasons set forth in paper.
So noted, again.
Second to that,
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the planning department then, between now and April 25th, will prepare an alternative resolution for denial based upon the reasons that Mr. Chase stated. And I guess if there's any question on that, we have a record, and that can be obtained, and you can review it.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 15, preliminary subdivision, Gyrodyne LLC. This application was last heard at the November 15th, 2017 Planning Board meeting. At that meeting, the Planning Department read an advisory report into the record describing the nature of the subdivision, as well as recommendations and comments from the engineering, highway, traffic safety, environmental, and planning departments. After the report was given, the applicant and the public were given the opportunity to speak on the matter. At the conclusion of the hearing, the Planning Board recessed the hearing in order to review the traffic impact study and allow the Department of Environment and Waterways to prepare a secret recommendation. On March 19, 2018, the Department of Environment and Waterways submitted the attached recommendation to the Planning Board. In accordance with the Department of Environment and Waterways recommendation, the following resolution is offered for the Board's consideration. Planning Board Resolution number blank 2018 recommended secret declaration for number 1178 map of Gyrodyne LLC. Whereas the Planning Board has considered the secret recommendation from the Department of Environment and Waterways, now therefore be it first resolved, that the Planning Board, after due study and deliberation of the subject record, issue a secret positive declaration, determination of significance, an environmental impact statement is required in the matter of the application for subdivision approval by Gyrodyne LLC for number 1178 map of Gyrodyne LLC for the following reasons. A, the proposal has the potential to result in significant adverse visual and community character-related impacts upon unique and highly valuable cultural resources, including but not limited to the adjacent Route 25A Historic Corridor and Mills Pond Road Historic Corridor. B, the proposal has the potential to result in significant adverse drainage and wastewater-related impacts upon unique and highly valuable environmental resources, including but not limited to the on-site New York State DEC map freshwater wetlands and the nearby Stony Brook Harbor. C, full details and calculations must be provided and reviewed to ensure that the proposed non-standard drainage system will not result in any discharge to the site wetlands and will not exacerbate existing local flooding conditions. D, full details and calculations must be provided and reviewed to ensure that the proposed sewage treatment plant will not result in any significant adverse impacts upon quality or quantity of surface waters or groundwater. The proposed location of the sewage treatment plant must be evaluated relative to the sub-watershed's wastewater plant groundwater contributing area so as to minimize potential adverse impacts upon Stony Brook Harbor. E, proposal appears to be inconsistent with the draft master plan and planning board recommendations regarding the subject parcel, including but not limited to the proposed uses of the subdivided parcels, the depth of the proposed buffer from Route 25A, and the amount of open space to be preserved on site. F, the proposal has the potential to result in significant adverse traffic impacts upon the local roadway network, with associated secondary impacts upon air quality and public safety by adversely impacting emergency vehicle response times. The feasibility and effectiveness of all proposed traffic mitigation measures must be fully described, documented, and subjected to public review. G, plans for the remediation of on-site arsenic contamination and the prevention of future industrial or medical contamination must be fully described, documented, and subjected to public review. H, cumulative impacts associated with future development of Stony Brook University's adjacent property, particularly in light of Gyrodyne's stated intent to reopen the Long Island Railroad grade crossing so as to allow the free flow of traffic between the two properties, must be fully described, documented, and subject to public review. I, growth including impacts associated with the potential redesign of the proposed sewage treatment plant with additional capacity to accommodate the sewering of St. James Business District must be fully described, documented, and subjected to public review. J, viability of the project as well as the specific limitations which the applicant may be willing to impose upon proposed uses and site design parameters such as building height, floor area, limits of clearing, etc. must be fully described, documented, and subject to public review. K, alternatives to the proposed action must be identified, considered, and subjected to public review. At a minimum, these alternatives include 1, no action, 2, public acquisition for open space preservation, 3, development of subject parcel in full conformance with the draft master plan and planning board recommendations, including but not limited to 300-foot deep buffers, 50% open space preservation, and prohibitions of specific uses.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Richard Zapolsky, ZAP, OLSKI of Cameron Engineering, representing the applicant. I have an affidavit of posting.
Can you please hand it up?
I really have no presentation for this evening, and we're looking forward to the determination.
And then we go from there. Anybody in the audience wish to be heard on this? Now, just so we can be clear, we do not have the merits of this application before us tonight. The only thing that we have before us is a recommendation that under SECRA, it be given a positive declaration. So we're not really addressing the merits of this application. We should only be addressing the merits of the SECRA positive.
Go ahead.
So please give your name and address. for the record.
Brendan R. Sweeney. I live at 147 Constantine Way in Mount Sinai. I'm here on behalf of Supervisor of the Town of Brookhaven, Edward P. Romaine, who of course sends his regards to the planning board. He just wanted this statement read into the record for you guys. Unfortunately, our data was a little out of date, so we have Mr. Chase as the chairman still. But dear Smithtown Planning Board Chairman Chase and members, I want to thank the members of the Smithtown Planning Board for allowing me to comment on the preliminary subdivision proposed for the Gyrodyne property. As you know, the Gyrodyne property, one of the largest properties in Smithtown to be fully developed, directly abuts the town of Brookhaven. The proposed development has the potential for significant impacts on the environment, traffic, water quality, and air quality in St. James, head of the harbor, and the town of Brookhaven. I am concerned about traffic impacts on New York State Route 25A or North Country Road, Stony Brook Road, Oxhead Road, and Mills Pond Road. The carrying capacities of all these roads exceed the recommended limits. Additional development of the Gyrodyne property will only exacerbate traffic congestion on these roads and other local roads such as Main Street and Stony Brook. Likewise, I am concerned about the proposed construction of Road C that would require the opening of a defunct railroad crossing on the Gyrodyne property. Opening this Long Island Railroad crossing would cause an unnecessary hazard to the motoring public. Even more ominous, the construction of Road C would create access from the Gyrodyne property to Stony Brook Road. This residential road is overutilized as a secondary entrance to the State University and is beyond its carrying capacity. Adding traffic to this road from the proposed Gyrodyne development is unacceptable, and Brookhaven is prepared to take whatever step is necessary to prevent this from happening. Frankly, this proposed development has growth-inducing aspects that will negatively impact the quality of life in both Brookhaven Town and Smithtown. This needs to be seriously considered. In examining the proposed site plan, there appears to be incompatible uses on several of the lots, including the proposed hotel and medical offices. Construction of an on-site sewage treatment plant, STP, directly adjacent to private property in Brookhaven Town zoned and used for single-family residences raises a number of concerns. Sanitary flow is the first concern. STP technology proposed should not just meet the drinking water standard of 10 ppm or parts per million of nitrogen and effluent. It should use best available technology to reduce nitrogen loading to the maximum extent possible. Nitrogen loading rates should be reported in annual loads by quantity, not as concentrated effluent. The site of the wastewater treatment plant is currently shown as preserved lands. This should be changed to reflect the development of sewage treatment plants. The buffers needed to protect the extensive wetlands on the site are not currently adequate and should be expanded. Currently, the site is actively used by grassland species such as the American kestrel and eastern meadowlark. Grassland species have declined precipitously on Long Island. Habitat preservation of grassland species should be addressed in any review of this proposed development. Lastly, impacts to the nature and characters of the area need to be addressed. The proposed development conflicts with the current nature and character on and around the site. The town of Brookhaven requests and does support the adoption of the SECRA positive declaration for this project. We also request that a public scoping meeting be convened to solicit the concerns of local residents. This should result in the preparation of a full environmental impact statement to analyze each of the above concerns and determine if mitigation of the significant impacts is possible or the proposed development is too intensive. The environmental impact statement must comprehensively consider the development in its entirety and not divide or segment the subdivision and further uses. Again, thank you for allowing me to place my concerns about this proposed development on the record, and thank you guys for letting me read it.
Thank you. Anybody else wishes to be heard on this, or is there any comment from the applicant's representative that you wish to make, or no? Okay. So we have before us the resolution on SECRA positive. Any other questions from any members of the board on that? All right, so we have the resolution on SECRA positive. I think it would be appropriate to close the public hearing as it pertains to SECRA first, and then act on the resolution. So a motion first, close the public hearing as it pertains to the SECRA issue.
In a matter of number 1178, map of Gyrodyne LLC, I move that we close the public hearing regarding the SECRA declaration.
And is there a motion on the SECRA
I'll second
declaration? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None?
And in the matter of number 1178, map of Gyrodyne LLC, I move that we adopt the SECRA positive declaration as recommended by the planning department.
For the reasons set forth in their memo, correct?
Correct.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the secret positive is adopted. Thank you. Okay.
Just got minutes.
The last thing we have is adoption of the minutes of January 31st, 2018, and February 14th, 2018. Can we have a motion on that, please?
I move that we adopt the minutes of January 31st and February 14th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Minutes are adopted. As it appears that there's no further business tonight, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? We're adjourned.